Okay, we're here with LeeMurray, Dacre Stoker here in sunny South Carolina. Lee, you are in New Zealand. It looks like a beautiful sunny day there. It's a great honor for me to be interviewing you, as you are the multi-award winner writer and editor of science fiction, fantasy, and horror, Sir Julius Vogel, Australian Shadows, and a three-time Bram Stoker Award nominee. Lee's works also include the Tane McKenna military thrillers and supernatural crime noir series, The Path of Ra, co-written with Dan Raybarts, as well as several books for children. In 2020, Lee became a literary fellow of the New Zealand Society of Authors in their Waitangi Day Honors, as well as she is a Bram Stoker finalist in the category of Superior Achievement in Novel, published by Severed Press. And the novel is Into the Ashes. Unfortunately, we're not all meeting in Scarborough this year for the Stoker Con. So this is one of the reasons we're doing these interviews with the nominees, is to chat about you, Lee, and your story and the backstories of Into the Ashes. But let's just start with, tell us a little bit about where you live and how this pandemic is affecting your community.
Hi, Dacre, and it's great to be here with you. Thank you for setting these interviews up, and I'm sorry we're not meeting in Whitby and in Scarborough this year. As you said, I'm down here, down under in New Zealand. I live over the hill from Hobbiton in the sunny Bay of Plenty, and it's late summer here, so it's lovely and sunny. And as of last night at midnight, we knew the whole nation went into lockdown. So yeah, it's a big impact, a national lockdown. My husband and I, we've been in lockdown for 2 weeks already because he had some international travel earlier in the month. So we're already ahead of the game. But it's a big deal. It's obviously, a third of the world's population is in lockdown at the moment. So it's nothing new, but it is for us. And I'm hoping New Zealanders will be compliant. We've put in a big stimulus package, and there's been a mortgage holiday for people with mortgages, I think for 3 to 6 months. So I'm hoping that people will be able to come through this without too much suffering, and we can save some lives. So in terms of how it's affecting us, I mean, we still have our trails and our walks and walkways and beaches open. Some of the narrower trails are closed, so people can't get out and necessarily walk on those, but mostly you can still go and walk around your neighbourhood, providing you keep, a social distance. So that's going to help a great deal, I think, for New Zealanders who like to be outdoors.
Is it difficult to get some of the normal goods you're accustomed to getting? I mean, over here, there has been a big run on canned goods and toilet paper.
There haven't been any toilet paper wars that I'm aware of. Certainly, I always do my shopping online anyway, my supermarket shopping, and have done for about 8-9 years now. I have not been able to get a supermarket slot at all. But one of my local produce stores has delivered, so I've been fine. I think it's a bit concerning for older people and people who are vulnerable. But New Zealand has set up a system, a number of the stores where you can go in early if you're older or if you're vulnerable. And then they're letting people in at certain rates so that there's distancing. But I haven't been, so I can't tell you firsthand. I just know what I'm hearing from my neighbours and friends around, that yes, there's been a bit of a rush in the last couple of days because we closed down today. But in general, I think people have been pretty civilised, and there hasn't been, a great markup on the price of toilet paper. So I'm very relieved about that.
What Lee, tell me a little bit about, on a personal basis, you and your husband, you share a home office. You're a creative soul. You're a writer. What does self-isolation do to you and your writing process? I mean, how does that all work in a time like this of, distraction with what's going on in the world, but trying to focus on doing your normal thing?
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis, it's not changed a great deal. Because my husband, he works in, or he's a cloud architect in the medical field, and his team is based in Baltimore. So in general, he's online in the mornings and talking to his team. And so, he works opposite me. We have this kind of Victoria and Albert system. So where you can see me now, I'm sitting at his desk, and my desk's on the other side of the room facing him. And he has a screen that's so big that I can't see him, or maybe it's so he can't see me. I don't know. And so if he does meetings, he usually does them with his headset, so I can't hear what's going on. And sometimes they complain about my tapping, but in general, it works pretty well for us. So in terms of our work, just physically, it's not any different. We got a new coffee machine a couple of weeks ago, so we're very pleased about that now that we're in isolation. And in terms of the work, well, I mean, I'm not obviously going to writing meetings. My conventions are all down. I think I've had 6 cancellations of conventions and things that I would be normally going to. But in terms of my day-to-day writing, I'm writing less because I'm very distracted. But I've had so much extra work come in. My mentees are at home, and I have 6 of them on the go at the moment. And so they're just sending me so much stuff. In my inbox is full of things from my mentees, which, please, can you look at this? I've had some time and I've been able to write. So that's increased. And I've had 4 books come in for front cover blurbs. So lots of people have, you've got some downtime. Could you read this for me now? So I've had lots of great dark fiction come into my inbox. So in a sense, I've had less opportunity to write for myself and lots more sort of interaction with my horror writing colleagues who are now not in their day jobs and perhaps getting a bit more time at home to look at their own writing. So for me, as a sort of editor as well as a writer, I found that my own personal creative time has been more focused on helping other people with their work rather than my own stuff. So
something positive anyway coming out of all this.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Into the Ashes, because you mentioned all these conventions you weren't able to go to, and obviously we're all not meeting up at StokerCon in Scarborough. But so what does it mean to somebody who's got a book out, you're a nominee, you're a finalist for a Stoker Award, and you're unable to promote this book in the normal way? Obviously, you've got to figure out other ways to promote this work, because otherwise it really hurts. So what are you doing to sort of make up for all that and that lost time in front of your fans at conventions? Is there a good plan B that you're working on?
I know. I guess like everybody else, we're going a bit online and doing some readings and that kind of thing. Generally in New Zealand, it's pretty hard to be visible globally anyway, because we're kind of stuck out here on the end of the world. So getting across over, to conventions is kind of important to us. So yes, it's going to be hard. Into the Ashes, it came out last year in February, so it's been out a whole year now, and it's had reasonable momentum, so I'm not too concerned. The first book in the series, there are 3 of them, see, I like I'm doing the whole, but this first book in the series just got picked up for German translation yesterday, so hopefully that'll. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So hopefully that'll bring some more attention to this one. And I've written a novella that follows on from this book, and in this series, they all stand alone, so they're all individual adventures. But I've written a novella that's coming out in a collection. My first debut collection is coming out later this year. A little bit not sure when now that WorldCon's has been moved to virtual, but so it's. I guess we just have to adapt and change and see what opportunities open up to us as a result of this pandemic. And I think, the world is, we're separated and isolated, but in a way we've come a lot closer. It's a sort of silver lining, a little bit different. We have come a lot closer because we're all trying to reach out and connect, because we're also isolated. It's it's an odd phenomena, isn't it?
No, you're right. I mean, Linda Addison said exactly the same thing in her interview. She said it's forced her to connect with different forms of social media to her relatives, her son, other authors. When you normally would, well, you're going to see them in 2 months at this con or a month at this convention. So the effort wasn't there. Which is now that we are sort of isolated, you make the effort. And she said it also shows that, like it or not, we're connected because people can get on airplanes and trains and boats, and the viruses can travel around the world as well as our goodwill. So it's something we've got to deal with, isn't it?
It is true. It is true. What I think is really interesting is that, it's amazing to me just how much we are consuming dark fiction at the moment. I mean, horror is the greatest opportunity to address our fears, and right now everybody is scared. And it's amazing to me just how much people are on Netflix watching dark fiction. They're reading, they're consuming so much, and how important the arts are to our well-being in times of crisis. And it's really come home to me just how vital that is. And I hope that economically that makes a difference going forward as well, that we realize we need to protect our creative community and help them out, because the gig economy is so precarious. But to me, it seems so everybody's home on the couch and they are reading books and watching movies and trying to find ways to entertain the children through reading and story. And I really think that it brings it home just how important our community is.
Well, you're right. And that's one of the reasons why our president, John Palisano, president of Horror Writers, was really keen to do these interviews to help, keep our community connected during the time of isolation. So let's try to wrap this up, but let's give you a couple more opportunities. How do we follow you, Lee? How do we find your website? Where can we get your book? And that sort of way, further connecting than just this interview. So how do people find out more about your series of books, and how can they actually purchase them?
Oh, okay. So, the books are online. You can purchase them online from the usual places. And if you check Severed Press's website, you can find the books there, or you can look at my website. Please join and subscribe my website, please, people. It's LeeMurray.info is the address for that. So thanks, Dacre. That's kind of you for the shout out. I appreciate that.
Well, that's the point, and super congratulations for being a finalist. And sorry we won't we won't all be together in that room in Scarborough, but we understand the awards are going to be streamed. They're still going to go ahead. They're still going to have acceptance speeches by folks. So hopefully we'll cross our fingers for you. And thank you so much for taking your time to join us and keep our horror writers community connected. And have a wonderful day and a wonderful next few weeks.
Thanks very much, Dacre. You stay safe.
I'll do my best. You too. All right. Bye for now.